You know, M had a different thing going on, like him and Proof. Proof cussed him out a couple times.
What happened was Suge tried to shake Proof hand, and Proof was like, you said you killed Pop, get out my face. He just lights the cigar, and it's about Suge. He light the cigar, and he trying to see what you gonna do. So Eminem, 50, everybody outside, this is when I knew Eminem was real. He's like, I don't give a f, man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real 50 outside, what's up?
He asked Proof for a handshake. Proof was like, nah, you killed Pop.
So he really told this man, I ain't shaking your hand.
Man, I ain't shaking your hand, killed Pop.
Damn.
Eminem and his best friend Proof might not be the first names you think of when it comes to gangster rappers, but their actions tell a different story. In fact, one particular incident was so wild, it shook everyone around them, including 50 Cent and the entire G-Unit crew.
Remember, them Detroit niggas kinda crazy, bro. Them 7, 8 mile, them niggas always been crazy.
Coming out of Detroit, fear wasn't in their DNA, and that raw energy earned them major respect from the game. Let's get into it. Eminem and 50 Cent's friendship. Now, everybody knows about the legendary bond between 50 Cent and Eminem. It's one of the most solid, long-lasting friendships in hip-hop. But what makes it so interesting to people is how different the two of them are. 50 Cent is really from the streets, like the real streets. He lived that hard-knock life for real. We're talking about hustling, selling, beefing with gangsters, surviving shootouts. This man got shot 9 times and still walked away.
Where were you shot?
In my hands, my legs several times, like 5 times in my hands, and then in my legs, and then in my face.
Eminem, on the other hand, didn't grow up with any silver spoon either. Coming up in the rough neighborhoods of Detroit, he faced poverty, addiction, and had to fight tooth and nail to be taken seriously as a white rapper in a predominantly black art form. But while M had his fair share of trauma and grit, he never built his image around being a gangster. He wasn't out here pretending to be something he wasn't. Still, despite their different backgrounds, these two came together and formed one of the strongest friendships hip-hop has ever seen.
Yo, Fifth, first off, I want to say happy birthday. Secondly, I want to remind you of the verse you did that made me want to quit rapping. Picture a perfect picture, picture me in a...
Eminem to me is what Dr. Dre is to Eminem.
Yeah.
So to disrespect him in any way is just, you out of pocket.
But here's what most people don't talk about enough. Before 50, there was Proof. Eminem and Proof go way back. Same block in Detroit back. They grew up together, battled together, and came up in the underground rap scene long before the world ever heard of Slim Shady. If you've seen 8 Mile, you might remember the character Future, played by Makey Pfeiffer. That was based on Proof. He was the heart of Detroit's battle rap scene and was the one who pushed M to get serious about his craft. Proof convinced him to step into the hip-hop shop and test his skills at open mic battles. Without that push, without that belief from Proof, there's a real possibility Eminem might have never made it.
I used to sneak them in there into the lunchroom, right? And I used to be like, they used to be like, we want to battle you. I used to be like, nah.
Together, these two were a force. They weren't out here throwing up gang signs or acting tough for the camera, but they weren't to be played with. They carried themselves with confidence and weren't afraid of anyone. That kind of energy earned them a lot of respect, especially from street-certified guys like 50 Cent and the whole G-Unit crew, who knew what real fearlessness looked like. And if there's one person whose name brought fear to almost everyone back then, it was Suge Knight. Suge was basically the boogeyman of the rap game in that era, known for intimidation, violence, and running death row records like a mob boss. Most people avoided beef with him at all costs, but not Proof. According to multiple sources, including G-Unit members like Tony Yayo, Proof had no issue calling Suge out, even to his face. There was one wild story from a party where Suge walked up to shake Proof's hand, trying to be all cool, and Proof straight up yelled at him, accusing Suge of killing Tupac. And it wasn't even once. Proof had reportedly disrespected Suge multiple times.
Proof told Suge in a party, "You killed Tupac." You could ask anybody. Proof Proof was a wild boy.
Then there's the now infamous incident on the set of 50 Cent's video shoot for In Da Club. Out of nowhere, someone yelled, "Suge Knight is here!" That single sentence threw the entire set into chaos. Suge showed up with about 30 men, reportedly members of a Mexican gang.
This is why I always respected Eminem, 50, and that was with us. So Suge came, he had some Mexican niggas. Now we from New York. You ain't never seen a with a tattoo on his forehead. He likes the cigar, and it's the about Suge. He liked the cigar, and he trying to see what you gonna do. So Eminem, 50, everybody outside.
It was a classic Suge move, rolling up with a squad, trying to intimidate everyone on the scene. This was how Suga operated, always ready to pull up unannounced, flex his influence, and remind everyone that he was still a force to be reckoned with. Amidst this tension, Eminem was also present at the video shoot. True to form, Eminem did not back down.
This is when I knew Eminem was real. He's like, I don't give a man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real 50 outside, what's up?
Now, if you ask Suge about that night, he'll tell you there was no way Eminem would have checked him.
So far as Eminem checking me, that's a laughing matter, you know. I mean, it's ridiculous.
In his words, he wouldn't have had to lay a hand on M himself. He'd just have someone Eminem's size handle the job.
I'm definitely too big to slap the shit out of you. If that's something he really want to get it, I'm quite sure I could find a little homie in his class and run it, you know.
And while that might be true, way too many people who were there tell a different story. That's what really made people look at Eminem and Proof differently. They had guts, and they stood on their own 10 toes no matter who was in front of them. Sadly, the bond between Eminem and Proof came to a tragic end. In 2006, Proof was shot and killed in Detroit, a moment that shattered Eminem emotionally and spiritually. After Proof's death, Eminem spiraled into one of the darkest periods of his life. According to Nas, Eminem's bodyguard, Eminem started off as a healthy guy, someone who wasn't into any hard substances. But as fame hit and the stress of the industry piled on, coupled with the loss of Proof, what started as a joke, a little bit of recreational use here and there, quickly spiraled into a full-blown habit.
I think he started taking some of the recreational drugs as a joke, because it wasn't something that he had to do, because he was such a health nut, man.
Nas recalled that Eminem's use took a turn for the worse in Baltimore, where his assistant manager was constantly pushing on him. Looking back, Nas deeply regretted not stepping in sooner because from that point on, things only got worse. At one point, Nas claimed that Eminem took 14 different drugs in a single day, a dangerously high amount for anyone, let alone someone whose body wasn't built for it.
At one point, you said he did 14 in one day.
Yeah.
Eminem's addiction really escalated while he was recording his second album. According to Nas, Eminem was having serious trouble sleeping, and a lot of the he was taking at the time were sleeping pills, ecstasy, and other substances. Things got so bad that Nas and the team had to literally watch Eminem sleep because they were terrified he might go into cardiac arrest or never wake up.
I remember having trouble sleeping. So a lot of it was sleeping pills, so he could go to sleep because he had problems sleeping. And then there was some ecstasy. I would have to sit there and watch him sleep to make sure he didn't go into cardiac arrest or he stopped breathing.
Eminem was knee-deep in this dark period for a long time, because to him, Proof wasn't just a friend, he was like a brother. Now, besides being the first person to recognize M's talent, Proof was also the mastermind behind D12. Around 1996, he had a vision of putting together a rap crew made up of 12 of Detroit's best MCs. The idea was to have a dirty dozen, but finding 12 truly talented rappers in one city wasn't easy. That's when someone came up with a brilliant workaround. Instead of 12 different people, they would have 6 MCs, but each one would have a second alter ego, effectively making them a dozen. This is actually where Eminem's Slim Shady persona came from. Every member of D12 had their own split personality, Proof became Dirty Harry, Eminem became Slim Shady, Bizarre became Peter S. Bizarre, Kunava became Rondell Bean, Swifty became Swifty McVeigh, and Mr. Porter became Con Artis. D12 made their debut in 1997, dropping an underground EP, and from there, the momentum started building. Individual members of the group started getting recognition. Bizarre was named Inner City Entertainment's Flavor of the Week, Proof won the Source's freestyle battle, and Eminem had just released his Slim Shady EP, which eventually caught the attention of Dr. Dre and changed his life forever. But just as things were taking off, tragedy struck. Before D12 became what the world knows today, there was another member, Bugs. Bugs was introduced to the group by his friend Swifty, and he was a key part of D12's early days. But on May 21st, 1999, Bugs was involved in an altercation in Detroit that turned deadly. He was shot multiple times and then run over by a car, killing him on the spot. Bugs' death shook the entire crew to its core. The vibe around D12 shifted. Things weren't the same anymore. At the time, Eminem wasn't even officially part of the group. He was more like an honorary member. But after Bugs passed, Eminem stepped back in temporarily to help out with some group obligations. What started as a temporary return eventually led to him fully rejoining D12. The group had a pact. If one of them made it big, they would come back and help the others. And that's exactly what Eminem did. After the Slim Shady LP went triple platinum, Eminem was one of the biggest names in hip-hop. Instead of leaving his crew behind, he established Shady Records under Interscope, specifically to sign D12 and put them on the map. With Eminem's career skyrocketing, Proof joined him as his hype man on the legendary Up in Smoke tour, a tour that was basically the weed-smoking Olympics, featuring Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and a lineup of some of the biggest rap names at the time. The crew continued to honor their fallen friend Bugs, dedicating both the Marshall Mathers LP and D12's Devil's Night to his memory. An old recording of Bugs' song Desperados was included on the later D12 album D12 World, retitled Bugs 97. Devil's Night saw D12, under Proof's leadership, hitting the top of the charts. The album's name was a nod to the Detroit tradition of setting abandoned buildings on fire the night before Halloween, as shown in 8 Mile. After this successful release, the crew took a 3-year break to enjoy life and work on solo projects. Proof even had a cameo in 8 Mile, playing the rapper Lil Tick, who battles Eminem at the start when he chokes. By 2004, D12 was back in the studio, recording their follow-up album, D12 World. This album was another hit, topping the Billboard charts once again. But America wasn't enough for them. D12 World also topped the charts in several other English-speaking countries, including Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and the UK. After the album dropped, Proof kept the momentum going with his solo success, independently releasing his album Searching for Jerry Garcia on his newly established Iron Fist Records. In a sad twist of fate, Proof was depicted in Eminem's music video for Like Toy Soldiers as being shot and killed, a scene intended to represent Bugs' murder. Eminem later expressed feeling guilty for this portrayal, wondering if it brought bad karma. Despite the foreshadowing, Proof and Eminem remained tight until the end, with Proof even stepping up as Eminem's best man at his short-lived second marriage to Kim, which lasted only 82 days.
Proof often shared the stage with Eminem. He was even the best man at M's wedding this past January.
Now, there's a lot of conflicting info out there about what actually happened on the day Proof died, and a lot of questions still go unanswered to this day. But let's dive in. On April 10th, 2006, Proof was out for a night of fun, as he often was. Old habits die hard, and Proof had mad respect for the city that raised him. His patriotism was unmatched, and that loyalty kept him close to the neighborhood, even though he was a star and could have moved somewhere safer, away from the dangerous company and environment. Instead, he chose to stay in the heart of the city he loved. It was an honorable choice, but ultimately a costly one. That night would be the last time Proof would enjoy a night out in his beloved city. There are numerous accounts that reshape the moments leading up to his passing, but one key detail is the place where it all went down, the CCC Club along Detroit's 8 Mile Road. Before Proof arrived at the place where the tragedy would unfold, his night had already started with 2 friends. They were club hopping, having a good time. As the night went on, his close friend Reginald Moore, aka Mud, messaged Proof to find out where they were hanging out. Proof replied that he was at the Coliseum, a gentleman's club with 2 other friends named Mac and Chop. Mud joined the trio, and the 4 of them hung out at the Titty Bar, drinking, chatting with the DJ, and then moving on to another club called Rolex. They were having a blast, enjoying the night, drinking more, and living it up. But the night was still young, and they decided to keep the party going. This decision brought them to Proof's final destination, the CCC Club. By this time, it was after midnight, now Tuesday, April 11th, 2006. At the CCC Club, the festivities continued, leading up to the gruesome moments that would end Proof's life. Reports state that around 4:30 a.m., things got heated between Proof and a patron named Keith Bender. Bender was a veteran of the First Gulf War and a former medic who was forced out of the army due to a heart condition. Ironically, Bender was at the CCC Club to celebrate some good news about his health. Allegedly, the altercation between Proof and Bender started over a game of pool. The argument escalated, and Proof allegedly knocked Bender to the ground. After this, reports say Proof drew a firearm and shot Bender twice, 1 bullet hitting him in the head. As Bender lay bleeding, a friend of his returned fire, delivering the wounds that would end Proof's life. Both men were critically injured and transported to the hospital. Proof was rushed to St. John's Holy Cross Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Keith Bender was taken to St. John Hospital, where he was listed in critical condition. Sadly, Bender succumbed to his injuries and died 8 days later. As further investigations rolled on, it turned out that the main suspect in Proof's tragic death wasn't just any random guy. He was actually Bender's cousin and the club's bouncer, Mario Etheridge. Etheridge found himself in the spotlight as the one who allegedly pulled the trigger, ending Proof's life. The day after the incident, Etheridge turned himself into the police with a lawyer. By the next day, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy charged him with carrying a concealed weapon and discharging a firearm in a dwelling or occupied structure. But this led to a lot of uproar. Friends and family of Proof were outraged because one major charge was missing from the list: murder. Kim Worthy reassured everyone that even though Etheridge wasn't charged with murder initially, the investigation was still ongoing, hinting that the charge could still be on the table. Etheridge pleaded not guilty to the charges and posted a $7,000 bond, getting released from Wayne County Jail. Meanwhile, the CCC Club faced the music too. They had to close their doors for a period of time because they were found at fault for the altercation. Clubs in the area were supposed to close at 2 a.m., but local residents and the police said the CCC Club usually stayed open from 2 to 7 a.m. after other clubs had closed. The incident with Proof happened hours after 2 a.m., and considering there had been 18 police reports about the club over the past decade, including shootings and other violations, Proof's tragic death was the final straw. The entire Detroit community and the hip-hop world were rocked by the news of Proof's passing. When news outlets started broadcasting the tragedy, it was clear how much Proof meant to everyone. Amidst the mourning, numerous theories and speculations about what happened that night at the CCC Club circulated. The trial in September 2006 provided some clarity, but also added to the confusion. The prosecution's case hinged on the claim that Mario Etheridge, Bender's cousin and the club's bouncer, fired the first shot as a warning. Assistant Prosecutor Elizabeth Walker stated that this warning shot was the first indication that anyone had a weapon. According to the prosecution, this prompted Proof to draw his gun and shoot Keith Bender, Etheridge's cousin. However, this narrative was challenged by Reginald Moore, aka Mud, an eyewitness and Proof's friend. In an October 2006 interview with XXL, Mud recounted the events differently. He claimed that when they arrived at the CCC Club, he was the only one armed. As the night progressed and they prepared to leave, Mud noticed Proof and Bender in a heated argument. He tried to de-escalate the situation, but tensions were high. Bender reportedly shouted at Proof, "I don't care who the F you are," and then sucker punched him. According to Mudd, everyone cleared the room to let Proof and Bender fight it out, but then Etheridge fired shots into the air to break up the fight. This led to a struggle between Mudd and Proof over the gun. Proof managed to get the gun and fired it into the air as well, which escalated the chaos. During the commotion, Etheridge allegedly started firing in their direction, hitting both Proof and his cousin Bender. The wounds proved fatal for both men. In court, Wayne County Circuit Judge Vera Massey Jones sentenced Etheridge to time served for the concealed weapon charge and fined him $2,000 for firing a gun in a building. Prosecutors maintained that Proof fired first, and Etheridge acted in defense of his cousin. They argued that Etheridge's warning shots were an attempt to stop Proof before he aimed the gun directly at him, which formed the basis for the charge of illegally discharging a firearm. It's truly heartbreaking that Proof's life was cut short, especially since he had so much ahead of him. But on a brighter note, Eminem went on to become a living icon, proving to the world exactly what Proof had seen in him all those years ago.